and welcome back to Nancy's Neighborhood. And I told you my first guest wanted to talk about the event, which is the Memorial Day program down at the square at the courthouse on May 29th at 10:30. Take a lawn chair, water, wear a hat, sunscreen. Now, my next guest is a friend, and I love talking to this guy. There's a whole lot of things that he can share, and so I just said, Brian, how about coming on and talking to me about? He's an award-winning reporter. He's makes me upset because he goes to these concerts that I don't get to go to, and the Doobie Brothers. Love the Doobie Brothers.
Well,
okay.
that's kind of...
And anyway, but he works for the Cleveland Daily Banner, and he's recently moved to Cleveland. So I said, Brian, why don't you come on and talk to us about yourself? So, hi, Brian. How are you?
It's great to be here.
Thank you.
I must have done great last time because it's been, 2 years since you've invited me back?
But I've only been doing, Bryce, how long have we been doing this?
Yeah, you've been doing...
This show?
Almost a year in June.
Almost a year in June. So there you go. So see.
Well, I've been busy.
Well, yes, you have. Yes, you have. And Brian brought a stack of his awards that he's won.
Well, they're not awards, just some memorabilia from along the
that
way.
he's done.
Yeah.
And he'll have the Doobie Brothers to talk about. And he's already Boston Pops and all of that. Brought me back some confetti and a DVD. So anyway, and I didn't get to go. But all right, so Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on now.
Well, I'm a staff writer at the Cleveland Daily Banner. Hard to believe November will be 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot has gone under the bridge since I've arrived.
Absolutely. You have a new boss.
Yes, Ralph Baldwin, who I would say it on camera, off camera, he's great. He's old school journalist, old school newspaper. And is very much wants to be a part of the team. It's rare when he comes to the newsroom he doesn't sit and talk to us for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And it's great. He told me, he said he just loves the smell of the ink. And
okay, good.
and that's well, I mean, if you work in newspapers, you understand that.
Yes, and that's like at the house. I read the Banner, and sometimes when I get through reading, I have to go wash my hands before I cross stitch. Because I do have a little bit of ink on my finger. But, and a lot of people say, well, you can go online and read it. No, that's not the same thing.
A lot of people are that way, and I'm the same way. Now, I do have audiobooks that I listen to.
I do that, yeah.
But there's still nothing like having the print edition in your hand. And my parents actually have been concerned over the years that community newspapers would go away. Well, that may be true, but there's always going to be a need for content, no matter whether it's digital or print.
Right.
So I think maybe I'm pretty safe.
Right. I think you are for a while anyway. And I love your articles.
Thank you.
There's one that you wrote just recently that I really liked, and we're not going to discuss that on the air, but I really enjoyed it, and you do a really good job, very detailed. You do a lot of research, and you know your subject matter that you're talking about.
Well, that's the one thing I take pride in. We have as much of a responsibility to the public as your law enforcement or any elected official, such as a school board member. We need to get it right, and we need to get it complete. My soapbox is I don't appreciate journalism that is cherry-picked for whatever reasons. If I quote somebody, the story's a little longer, but I'd rather quote them in context. I would rather give both sides of the story as much as is made available to me. Now, that has not put me on the popularity list of a lot of people.
I can imagine.
And I'll just say, in recent days, I have not been on some people's popularity list. But, I mean, that's fine. That's part of it. All I can do is tell people that I'm not writing anything that is not true. I'm not writing anything that I have not documented or have the documents in front of me. I'm not quoting anybody that I don't have a tape of them saying that to me. And that's why I tape people when I interview them.
I know, it bothers me when you come into the shop and you turn the tape recorder on.
Well, you know what? That's one of the things that I've learned over the years. I don't interview people. I have conversations with them.
Yes, you do, and you're a very good conversationalist.
You just turn on the tape recorder. Of course, your subject knows that you're taping them, and then you just start a conversation. And I found over the years, my interview subjects will go down roads I didn't even think about. And I'm not sure they thought about it and would say things that surprised them.
That's very, very true.
I have actually called an interview subject and go, you did say this, and I was recording it. And they all say, that's fine.
Yeah, and you've not pulled anyone's on me like that, so we're okay. But I, a lot of people, and you're not uncomfortable, but a lot of people come on the TV show are uncomfortable. They say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on TV. Well, you know, I try to make people as comfortable
Yeah.
as I can.
That's what you do.
You know, and I point out where the cameras are, and you can talk to them, and you can talk to me, whichever you want to do. So
Well, I guess the reason this doesn't bother me is I did this when I was a senior in high school.
we were talking about that. Yes.
We had a community cable channel, and at 4:30 every Monday was Harriman High Happenings, and which I have all the tapes of, which is great. It
How
made my
neat.
Now this was 1979, 80, and of course I wanted to go into broadcast journalism at the time, and I thought this would be great to have this. And so this will tell you how far we've come in technology. The only place that sold VCRs, video cassette recorders, was Miller's in Westtown and Knoxville. And I looked at Mom and Dad and I said, you know, this is what I want to do. This would be great to have. And so we went to Miller's and bought I think it was a Magnavox. It was an RCA VHS video recorder. And each blank VHS cassette, now you can buy them now for nothing.
If you can find them.
A
yeah.
single blank cassette in 1979 was $25.
Oh wow.
The
And
record,
that's a lot of money then.
the recorder, and you could get 6 hours on it. So that would be 12 weeks worth of broadcast.
Wow.
The recorder was $1,000. Now you can go to the dollar store and get one for nothing.
Right.
You know, so that's. But I'm so fortunate to have all those tapes. We did some great things. We did 1980 county elections. I built the set, and we had candidates come in. Of course, my love of politics, and we got to do some cool things. Went with the high school band to Washington, and it was fun. Almost got thrown out of the Lincoln Memorial because I was filming, and we had been to the Apple Blossom Festival. We'd been on tour, been at the Capitol, and so I'm filming at the Lincoln Memorial. Didn't seem anything wrong with that, and one of the park rangers came over. Sorry, you'll have to give me the tape. And I said, excuse me. Oh, I just have like 30 hours of our band tour on tape. I can't replace
Right.
it. Somehow we talked him out of it, but that was terrifying.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think it's public domain, but
Yeah.
Park Service, I don't know.
Well, I think the thing is they thought we were doing it for a commercial venture, and it was not.
Oh.
And I think that's how we climbed out of that tree. But nevertheless, it
Very
was.
good.
Yeah.
Very good. So I do know that you're an award-winning journalist because you have won several awards with the Banner.
Oh yeah.
And so tell them a little bit about that.
Well, we've gotten some awards over the last couple of years from the Tennessee Press Association, and our former publisher Stephen Crass and I collaborated on a couple of stories during the last election cycle. There was some controversies that we dug into, and we've gotten some things, so that was very nice. Of course, the thing, I guess it's been 3 weeks ago now. I'm a member of the East Tennessee Society of Professional Journalists. Every year they have the Golden Press Card Award. And I had never entered it, but I think most people here will remember when we had a congressional candidate with questionable views bring his constituents, I put that in quotes, in front of our office and camped out and said some really nasty things about a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably the most scared I've ever been at work. I have been on meth bus. I've been on, all kinds of stuff. I was terrified that day. It was scary. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
And so, we had been through this all day long, and plus we had the election the next day, so I knew I was going to have a 36-hour day. Election days usually are long. And so finally things cleared out. That was on a Monday night. Things probably cleared out about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Things had settled down. And it was my duty to go write this story. That's a tough story to write because I'm writing about my own newspaper. We were part of the news.
Yeah.
That's a very fine line to walk, and I was very aware of it and struggled over it. And so I submitted that story to the SPJ for their awards, and it was funny. They held it at UT, and all the people in this room were people that I've idolized in journalism all my life. Reporters from the Knoxville news stations
Right.
and the Knoxville News Sentinel, my neck of the woods where I grew up. And I'm thinking, man, how am I here? The first award was for breaking news, and it got an honorable mention. I thought, well, okay, this is nice. I got to see all these people, and that's pretty good. Then they got to general reporting, which I mean, that's could have been anybody. And so they're throwing up everything on the screen, and then they get to my name for first place. And it took me a few minutes to just soak this in. I'm looking at all these wonderful journalists in the same room, and it's humbling. It's a very humbling experience.
Very nice, though. So you wrote about that event.
Well, I didn't write about it, but I transcribed what happened, and our editor, Rick Norton, decided to put it on the front page, which I'm still getting ribbed about in the office, saying, when are you going to have your picture on the front page again? And not anytime soon, I assure you, I'm not looking for it. But they've all been great, and it's been very nice. And it is, Alan Jones called me and said, this is a big deal, and it is, but I don't want to get too much over the moon over it. It is probably the top career award I've ever won, but I'm not naive enough to not believe that the story itself, because of the involvement in the media, the judges were nice saying that I walked that fine line, and that's great. But it was quite a thing to do.
That's amazing because, and then the thing about that is you got to come back and go to work because that award's not going to pay the rent.
No, and you know, look, to say I'm not proud of it would be totally untrue.
Right.
But you know, it's time to move on. It was nice to have that moment, and then we go on, and there'll be other moments. I hope not as strenuous as that one was.
Gosh, no, absolutely not.
But anyway.
All right, so what have we got stacked up
okay,
here?
first, let's see. Bryce, you tell me how I'm doing here. I don't know if you. That's
that looks good.
That is the Golden Press Card Award from the East Tennessee Society of Professional Journalists. That's pretty cool. Now this is my beginnings.
Your beginnings, okay?
I was 14. I've always wanted to be in journalism, and when I was a kid, I watched Huntley Brinkley, Peter
Me too.
Jennings,
Me too.
Cronkite.
Yes.
And but I really fell in love with Brinkley, and I did because his style is just so. He doesn't think you're stupid. If he reads a story that he thinks is dumb and he knows you're going to know it's dumb, then he'll chuckle about it, you know. So I always loved his delivery. So I guess I was 14 years old and I wrote David Brinkley. And just, you never know till you ask, you know, I'd love to come to New York and watch you do the news. So I'm 15 years old and I go to the mailbox and I get this letter, and this is from 1977. And I don't know if you see the NBC logo at the top.
Yeah, I do.
And
I'm looking at the screen, by the way. I'm looking at the same thing y'all are looking at.
and so I go to the mailbox and I see the envelope from NBC addressed to me, and I'm thinking, oh, not knowing what it was. And dear Mr. Graves, thank you for your kind letter. We can't invite you up here. It may be easier for you to travel to our affiliate in Knoxville. I appreciate your interest in nightly news. My best wishes to you, sincerely, David Brinkley.
How neat.
And come to find out, the cool part of that story is I was in an advanced class at Harriman High School, and there were about 10 of us, 12 of us in the class, and we were looking to do a field trip, and I told our instructor, I said, why don't we call this number and set up a trip and see backstage how TV works? And
Right.
sure. So we go up there, and we go through the tour, and the lady said, are you the Brian Graves that wrote David Brinkley? And I said, yes, ma'am. Well, his office called us.
How neat.
New York never calls us. And I'm going, well, I didn't mean to trouble you, but you know.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
no, how cool was that? That he took
That's
the time
really
to do
cool.
that. And I treasure that. I really do.
I don't blame you. I
That's,
would too.
If anybody says, who do you try to fashion what you do after? Probably David Brinkley as much as I can.
And he was a wonderful newsman.
A great essayist. I love his book, Everyone is Entitled to My Opinion,
Yeah.
which I
Yes.
have somewhat adopted. Now this I brought because of you.
Oh,
I'm particularly proud of this.
okay.
I guess this was probably 1999. I really started newspaper work. I built ads at the Rowan County News for a while, and then I started writing. And I got to Lenore City and fell in love with everybody, and fell in love with their school superintendent, Dr. Pat Smith, who was wonderful. And they had a situation that, Lord, I hope you guys never have to deal with. They had their choral director was magnificently talented, just incredible what their high school choirs could do. And Dr. Smith knew I was a musician, and she said, you have to hear what he can do. So I actually went in, and I could do it then. I can't pass for a high school student now, but I actually embedded myself in Lenore City High School.
Oh, how neat.
And I got to pick, I wanted to do music and I wanted to do science. And to sort of give everybody how different it was than you might remember high school. And so I watched this choral instructor, and it was marvelous, and took the picture, and you see him and the kids. Well, 6, 8 months later, that picture became creepy because he had been involved with one of the students sitting in the front row.
Okay.
That is a sensitive subject no matter what. It's even, I'm trying to clean it up here.
I know you are, and I appreciate that.
But much kudos to Dr. Smith, and I think it was because I had served on the school board. I sort of knew what obstacles we were going after, and we got through it. There were things that I knew should not be reported. There's a lot of privacy issues there, and I think they just appreciated the fact that I handled it as well as I did.
Professionally.
So I'll read it. It says, in recognition of, it was my birthday when they did this, and in appreciation, and this is what I love, for your highly ethical, I love that word, and
Absolutely.
enthusiastic reporting of school events, we hereby deem you an honorary Panther of the Lenore City School System, which,
How neat.
yeah. So to be recognized by an entity like that you cover on a daily basis through some difficult days,
Right.
and then they do that, well, that means as much to me as any
That's
award.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is absolutely awesome. Bryce is over there giving me the sign that we've done 15 minutes
Have we
already.
done 15?
I mean, really, if you got something else you can
Real
share
quick.
quickly. Yes, here we go.
Johnny Carson sent me an autographed picture.
Love it.
We are at the 25th anniversary of his retirement.
Love it.
I'll show you.
Love it.
This is
That's
when,
Johnny when he was 12.
yeah, this is, I interviewed Doc Severinsen several years ago.
Neat.
Yeah, and
Awesome
that
trumpet
was great.
player.
This, real quick, I got to cover President Bush in Knoxville. I took the picture. John Duncan, Congressman Duncan, took it back to Washington, had it signed for me, and being a presidential historical freak, to take a picture of the president and have him sign it, well, that's...
That's just the top of that's the cherry on the cake.
Real quick funny story. This lady right here, I don't know if you see her, I was at my desk at work. She called me and she said, I'm the lady back here. My family owns a car repair shop in Knoxville. If you will get me a copy of the picture and you break down in Knoxville, you will never have to worry. And so it was.
How awesome is that?
And I could tell 1,000 stories like
Absolutely.
that. But
Absolutely.
it's a great career. You get to meet great people. You get to see things you never dreamed. You make a lot of people mad along the way, but it's just part of the deal. But I love what I do, and I'm glad I ended up in Cleveland and Bradley County.
And you do a great job, Brian, and I'm glad you're my friend, not my foe, because I know what Steve Crash used to say. He said, Nancy, you don't have as much ink or paper as I have. So, you know, so anyway, it's always good to have friends. But Brian, thank you so much for being
thank you.
on
It's
with me
fun.
today. This was, and Brian and I get together, we talk and we talk and we talk, so we could go on for the rest of the
Yes.
show. But I need to come back in a few minutes with some updates for you. So thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. And folks, don't go away. I'll be right back in just a few minutes. Watch our commercials and be sure that you support our sponsors. Don't go away.